But still, it's very complicated at this European level. You can see this in the case of the Italian Rifondazione Comunista, just at the present time. Bertinotti had wonderful ideas and gave speeches, and 4 or 5 years ago, saying that the future of the new left we build up in this century will be built upon the social movements and the anti-globalization movement. And that Rifondazione has become government party again under Prodi, and Bertinotti is the president of the parliament, one house of the parliaments, and now they form a new party at the moment, a new coalition for the elections which are coming, but they are deeply divided in the discussions of how to go. The parliamentary way, preventing the government of the right, that's important, but on the other side, being a force, rather a political force, bound to the social movements. So I want to say by this, and this will be my thesis, which for our debate, to me, the party project is a project in the making. It is still in the making. It's still a process of building the party, and with a lot of contradictions and a lot of so-called, I think, open ends. Before I comment this thesis, I would like to say just a few words about the situation in Germany, which has made possible these electorate successes of the new party and the fusion between the PDS in the West and the WASG, the Electorate Alternative for Social Justice, which was formed in 2003 or 2004, what made it possible. I think as researchers in political economy, international political economy, and as Marxist analyzers of capitalism, we must see, well, capitalism went into a period of transformation. When we speak of neoliberal hegemony, it's of course the expression or the constellation, rather, of ideological, political majorities and stability under the condition of a deep transformation of capitalism with a new mode of accumulation, new dimensions. I want to of course comment this in detail of the globalized international expansion of capitalism, the downbreak of the Soviet Union, socialism in third world, etc., etc. We have been going through a deep transformation of the world order and of capitalism itself. In Germany, we had such in the 90s and up to the early 21st century, we have experienced this deep transformation with enormous consequences. You see, the German economy within the European economy, we always must say this, the German within the European economy is the strongest in Europe. And the strength of the German economy traditionally rests upon its export position, its strong export industry we have. And in the old model of the strength of German capitalism was a policy of the government directed towards stable money. D-mark, this was before the introduction of the euro, strong German mark, and at the same time an economic and social policy which favors the position of German capitalism on international markets. This went well in the golden age of capitalism on the basis of a class compromise between social democracy and unions on one side and capital and conservative political forces on the other side. This class compromise included a kind of social legislation, including co-determination laws, rights of workers' councils at the enterprise level, etc., etc. The transformation which has been going on since the 80s, which has been strengthened and intensified by the consequences of German unification, have put for some time, at least for a decade, German capitalism in the ranking of European capitalisms at a lower position. growth rates have gone down. The continuously high unemployment rates in Germany. In all the ranking, in all these comparative statistics, European economies, always the German economy was on the bottom. And they wrote, of course, it's the ill man in Europe. The Britons were in the 60s and so on. And the conservative press and the economists, of course, said, well, this is because we have failed to modernize German economy and German capitalism. And they introduced then a politics which led to a restructuring of German capitalism. And the old German model, I say the old German incorporate, that was the German system based upon the class compromise, a coalition at enterprise level especially, between management and workers' councils and trade unions. And this kind of cooperation, or this kind of corporatism, was then given up, was attacked from the end of the 60s, end of the 70s, in the 80s. And what they did, and what was restructured then in the 80s and 90s, was to weaken the trade unions. The strongest weapon to weaken them, as in many countries, was mass unemployment. And to create to flexibilize labor markets, create a low wage sector, privatize or open the welfare state system, rebuild the welfare state by opening welfare state insurance systems to privatization. And huge waves of privatization, which started with telecommunication, traffic systems, railroads is now on the agenda, and in many sectors up until the universities and science and education, you had waves of privatization and selling public goods, etc., etc. All this has led to and let's say at the end of this process, it was a social democrat green government which passed the Agenda 2010 of Schröder. And this was the last point, just to copy Blair's politics in West Germany, and to reduce incomes of the unemployed, to push them back to the workfare instead of welfare. That was the formula under which this policy was made. And create a low-wage sector and privatize a pension system. At the same time, they enlarged times for getting out of work from 65 to 75, etc. There was, and this is only 3 or 4 years ago, there was a wave now come to the party. There was a wave of protest against this. We had a demonstration of 300,000 in Berlin, organized by PDS, but also, and there were following Monday demonstrations, foremost in the East. It was not the wave, if you compare it to a demonstration in Amsterdam 2 years later, where you had in Amsterdam, I think, 250,000 protesting against neoliberal politics of the government. If you compare the population of the Netherlands and of Germany, of course, there should have been millions in Berlin. But this demonstration in Berlin was supported by the 2 biggest unions, the Metal Workers Union and the Services Union, which is a new union from a fusion of 5 other unions, post-20 union, banks, public services, etc. And this was for the first time, not really the first time, but it was realized that something had happened, a breakup of the privileged relationship between the Social Democratic Party and its leadership and the trade unions, the 2 biggest trade unions. There are some smaller unions like the Chemistry Workers Union. This is traditionally the right-wing union.